hello because we're already saying something.
I mean, we can still say hello. Hello.
Hi. Ses.
Yes.
Ses. We're back. And I have to excuse myself, everybody, because I'm a little sick or I'm still...
Yeah, he's probably going to have tons of diarrhea while we're recording this podcast. So if you hear that...
No.
Our new mics pick it up really well. Yeah, that.
I'm having a cough and I don't know if we bother editing out. So if
Probably
you hear
not.
it, we didn't bother.
And if you didn't just hear that cough, then we did edit it out.
Yes. So either way...
Either way, Wolfgang is sick and
Yes.
has a cough.
Yes.
Whether you hear it or not.
Yes.
Doesn't mean he's lying to you.
Indeed. But it's not COVID. It's just a cough.
I like how people feel like they have to say that now.
It is something you have to say.
But it's not. You don't have to excuse yourself. You don't, if you have a cold before COVID was a thing, you don't say,
Yeah.
oh, but it's not the flu. I'm not dying. It's not this. It's not measles. It's not
I
mumps.
agree.
It's
I
not-
agree. But when you say, hey, I'm not feeling well right now and I'm feeling sick or something, they're like, oh no, I hope it's not bad or anything. And that
Yeah.
kind of already implies
Sure, it
that,
implies.
ooh, they don't say most of the time, hey, I hope you don't have COVID,
Yeah.
but they imply it. And therefore, I
Yeah.
kind of have to say it like, yeah, it's just a cold, I'm fine.
But I don't think you have to say it.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, we're back with a new episode of Translating Love with me, Woifi.
And me, Robert.
Bob. That's cool.
No, I'm Robbie.
Robbie.
I don't go by Bob.
I see. Today we are talking about priorities.
Priorities.
Because it's important to cook and bake.
Setting priorities.
Right. Oh, fuck, I hate my voice. Priorities. I thought we could talk about it because it's kind of weird how priorities... it's not weird. I mean, I guess it's not weird. It's just, I guess you evolve and you want different things in life and then also in your relationship. But it's still interesting in terms of what you want and when you want what, and also why does it change.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can start like in terms of if you think back, like one of your longer relationships or more significant ones, let's just say that. When do you, when have you felt like, okay, your priorities shifted in terms of relationship and what you wanted from a relationship?
I mean, I guess once I was out of, I don't know when they changed. I mean, at some point I wanted a relationship that was gonna like be the one, where you go.
Oh, you really were after the one?
Yeah. Yes and no. Not really, but the person that I wanted to spend my life with. Yeah,
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be, I don't mean the one, like there's only one person for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I had that earlier, like the desire for that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I was still not following that priority very well because I was, as we've talked about in previous episodes, I was not faithful to the person that I thought was going to be that one person. So I had the priority there, but kind of not.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
It kind of makes sense.
But
Right.
I felt like I had that earlier than most people have. Like I had the desire to find that person fairly young, I guess.
Like what age?
I don't know, 18, 19.
And what was before that?
Before that thought wasn't in my head. Like, sure, I wanted that in my future, but I wasn't looking for that in the person I was dating.
So basically one of your priorities was like, or changed into, I want someone who I can be with.
I want a family with.
right?
Mhm.
Longer than just the standard 1 or 2 years,
Mhm.
and then we break up. Something to build upon and to maybe eventually have a family with.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I didn't have that until with you,
Mhm.
like the family thing.
Yeah.
And before that, I never had the priority in my relationship to think about that or
even marriage, really.
work towards that. I mean, marriage was never a thing.
Mhm.
I mean, we talked about it. Marriage was always like, nah. I saw how my parents, failed, and how nasty
I wouldn't
it
say
was.
failed.
In the traditional way, they failed, which is not true. But their marriage broke apart, and it was pretty nasty. And that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what marriage was to me.
Mhm.
And also I mean, I'm still like, you don't have to be married to be together, You don't
No.
have to. It's a nice thing. It's a nice gesture in a way. But other than, I mean, not to say that if you're like a church and it has like a religious value to you, then sure, different story. But I never had that. So marriage to me was just a piece of paper, which it still is. But yeah, no, that was never a priority. And I don't know. Also, weirdly, like you said, the long-term thing, like, I never had the thought like, okay, I want to get old with that person.
Mhm.
Or I want to, I don't know.
But I mean, I don't know that I ever had the thought like I want to get old with that person, even before my like priorities shifted.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always the person who was like, I don't want to imagine that this is a short relationship. I want it to be a long, like,
Mm-hmm.
when you are young and you start a relationship, you're not thinking about, oh, this is probably not going to be the person I spend my life with. Like, you just don't think about that. And so it's still devastating most of the time when they dump you, which was the case for me a lot of the times.
Them.
It was mostly the other way for me most of the time. Actually, that might not be true.
Nice. But what I wanted to say is, since I don't know, somehow never like actively looked for a relationship, if that makes sense. Sure, I was when I was lonely or alone, especially before I had my first relationship. I remember like in school, everybody had like a fling, or, they were together for 2 weeks and then they broke up again and then they were together again and all that shit.
They Ross and Rachel'd it.
Right. I always wanted that. Not that, but I always thought like, ooh, it would be so cool to have a girlfriend, Then you can say, oh, you have a girlfriend and, you have sex and shit. So there was never like the partnership thing behind it. It was just like, you have to have that at certain age.
It's more of a possession.
It's a status symbol.
Yeah, but also kind of a possession. Like, I have this. Like,
sure, but I think it's a status symbol because if you go to school and you can say, oh, you're together with that person, and you're like, oh, that's so cool, blah blah.
Well, I mean, and then enter social media, and
different story.
On Facebook, it's like that was I don't know if that's still something the kids say, but their Facebook official was like, you're official, you're a couple.
We in Austria say, wer schmust ist zusammen, which means
who kisses is together.
Who kisses is together, which is a old thing, but yeah. No, but I basically, I don't know, stumbled from one relationship to the other, not actively looking for someone. It just like worked, and it felt like, okay, maybe let's try it with this person.
But let me ask, how much time was between your relationships?
I don't really remember much, but I think between the first and second one, it was like 1.5 years.
Oh, a long time.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just half a year.
1.5 years, or just a half year,
and I think
or
it
10
actually,
days.
I think actually it was just a half a year. I'm pretty sure. And then the second to third, it was 1.5 years. Because that was the years where I really had a fallout and drank a lot and partied and shit. And then...
I know the answer to it.
Yeah, nothing basically. But the thing is, I don't think it matters really how much time.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah. But... So I think...
never, for the record, I've never had that much time between relationships. I think maybe when I was young, like high school, but like early high school.
I think it's like with an animal who died. Like if you have a pet and it dies, I think you should take your time to grieve and to, check it off somehow, to work through it. But at least with my relationships, I did that already while I was still together with this person.
Me too.
So
I don't recommend that, by the way.
Nah.
I think a lot of people do that, but...
You basically push them away slowly and they feel it, and it's cruel. It's pretty cruel. But since I did that, I never had the, urge or need to have the gap. But I was not looking for someone. So I stumbled from one relationship to the other. Therefore, my priority never really changed until... after my accident, because there was such a big thing in my life that changed also a lot of things in terms of my perspective and what I wanted from life. And also I looked at things a different way a little bit, if that makes sense. And I saw that I was not good for the relationship I was in, or I was not good for her. And she... was looking for something else that I couldn't give her. And I saw that after my accident. So that's where like a big thing for me changed in terms of what I wanted in a relationship, which then awkwardly or weirdly, I don't know, was not really true for my relationship afterwards. And yeah. I don't know. You meet someone and you're like, oh, it's so cool, so perfect, blah, blah. And then you have what is it called?
Honeymoon phase.
Yeah, we say in German, the rosarote Brille, the pink glasses on. Everything is so awesome and perfect, and you miss them all the time and shit. And that kind of hid the fact that we did not really work together well in a lot of ways. And after that phase faded, I saw that she didn't. Or at least maybe she didn't acknowledge it.
Or maybe she thought that you did work well.
Or maybe she did. Yeah, sure.
Maybe she just had a completely different perception of the relationship.
The thing is, we worked well in the sense that I just did what I wanted to do. And she almost never got the things that you wanted out of the relationship or out of life. Not to say that I was an asshole, but so I was not an asshole, but I was very selfish in that relationship, which ultimately made me very unsatisfied. And also for her sake, obviously, you want the person to be happy. And if you see you are not the person they eventually can be because you can't give them the things, then maybe it's a time, a sign to, end it.
What about priorities in the sense of, and I don't know if I would call this a priority, but it kind of fits, like your patterns with dating and how they've changed. Like, there are a lot of people say like, oh, that person has a type, and I feel like I've never had a type. And like every single person I've dated, whether it's a short amount of time or a longer amount of time, completely different. Like, I was never really the type to be like, oh, I'm going to go after the convention, like super conventionally hot guy.
But,
physical attraction was important to me, but it was more like who I am physically attracted to, and that was always different.
if you like a common thing is that you tend to go after people that maybe reflects a little bit like is your dad a little bit in ways, or maybe your mom. That's a thing.
That's a common thing, yeah, too.
That's not the case for you.
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think so either. I don't think
anybody I've dated is like my dad, and I mean my mom either. The thing is, I used to think that my pattern was I go for the funny guy because I find that attractive. But then I realized how unfunny you are, right. And I was like, that's not no, but I realized that only 2 people, including you, that I feel like I had a significant relationship with, even though one was super short. I think you're both so funny, and that's what makes me reflect on that past relationship, as even though it was, I think, only 6 or 7 months, it's one that I feel like was a solid relationship compared to the connection with the other ones. Mm-hmm. But you and that other person are the only people that fit that.
That's interesting.
Quote pattern, which isn't really a pattern.
I mean, I think I had a pattern was in the first 3 relationship, the family
trauma and drama.
Right.
That fits with me too, though.
That was a thing. That was definitely a thing that my previous girlfriends had, not problems, but like either weird families in the sense that there were a lot of things that were not okay in that family, or problems with the relationship with the family, or, you know, a father or a mother who are really troubled in a way.
Oh, see, I don't have that.
So that was a theme, which was awkward and weird because most of the time they didn't reflect that. But then I think a definite theme in the first 3 was a wallflower, being a wallflower. Definitely.
But what do you mean by that?
An introverted person who is very shy, almost not very outgoing, but can be, you know, and also, you know,
your second girlfriend was an introvert?
Yeah, kind of.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But also not, you know, like hiding behind something. They're trying to hide behind something, like almost like an emo, you know, like like low, not like an emo, but emos hide behind something too. So most of the time, but not. It sounds weird, but not living up to their potential. You know, they put themselves down. That was a theme too, definitely. Insecurity. I mean,
right? That fits with me too.
That's true.
That's still a theme with you.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's in a lot of women or young women. That's the theme because of social media and all of that shit. I think.
I mean, I definitely didn't have the shy thing.
And also, I mean, I was never the type to be or want to be with someone who is like the, you know, the hip girl or the
cheerleader.
Right, you call it cheerleader, but like the most beautiful under air quotes. Like all the boys are like, oh, she's so she's so hot. You definitely want to be with her. I never wanted that. So the next best thing was,
even like when you were a young lad.
I mean, sure, you had like your fling or your, what is it called? Your crush, right? You had your crush, but I was never like, oh, I want to be with that person.
Interesting.
I think mostly because, I don't know, most of the time those women or those girls didn't really know what they wanted from life, and they seemed so like superstitious. Which
you're not thinking superstitious.
No, not superstitious. What is the word?
I agreed with you because I know what you meant.
No, oberflächlich.
Wow. I'm really tired and I can't think of the word. Pretentious.
Yeah.
Superficial. That's what
superficial. Superstitious. Superficial. That was the word. Yeah. Which might have not been true for a lot of them, but they portrayed it and they lived that. And so that was not something I was attracted to. And that was not a priority of mine to to try to be with some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in that period of time, I didn't feel, I was still the awkward nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was awkward too.
I did not, I don't know. You have to, clothing and how you portray yourself, hairstyle, and that's so important. And you want to reflect yourself and not what all the other people are doing, but at the same time you need to kind of resemble what the other people are doing, because otherwise you stand out and then you're the weird kid and they make fun of you. So I felt never in a position where I was like, oh, I can be with that woman.
Oh, I never felt like I was in that position.
Yeah.
Especially like in high school. Never.
Yeah. But I don't know, an interesting point that I thought I would just want to point out again is that, I mean, obviously when you get older, at some point priorities shift and you maybe want something more out of a relationship than just sex, and like after 2 years you say goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, you want to maybe think about a family or, building something more sustainable. But then at the same time, I think like COVID, for example, like something life-changing, something that forces you to, be more with yourself and think about what you want in life, reflect upon your life more. Might want, or maybe one would like make you reconsider a little bit, or sort out your priorities, and maybe you think that, okay, the person that I'm with is not fitting anymore at this point in my life. And interestingly, I mean, it's a sad statistic, but during COVID, a lot of people broke up or had a divorce because they were stuck together and they were never, equipped to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not to say that they need to or should do, but that, I mean, first of all, that's a massive problem because they never learned how to be with each other.
Spent that much time together in one space.
Right.
Even if you live together, there are a lot of people who they work 8-9 hours a day. They see each other for a couple hours at night and start all over. So to constantly 24/7 be with each other is a challenge.
But that again,
I mean, it wasn't easy for us either.
That again tells you how people, prioritize the relationship in terms of, okay, I just want to be with someone, so I have someone, so I'm not alone. Or do I really want to look for someone who fits and who works well with me? Obviously, people change over times and things change, but that so many break up only because they're stuck together for a longer time is kind of, yeah. You want to add something else?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
You don't want to add something else? Huh?
I don't think I want to add anything.
Otherwise, I really want to thank you, listeners, for listening. For keep listening our podcast program.
We sound like we could be delivering an NPR. Oh, you don't know NPR. You're not from the U.S. National Public Radio. Oh. It's where the people all talk like that, where they're just, now we're going to listen to a smooth jazz song by
and now to
the jazzy news. Jazz tones.
300 people died in a plane crash.
Oh, that's a little sad.
That's how they read the news.
It's not.
No. But I really want to thank you, listeners, for being so nice and
also for putting up with our shenanigans of talking ridiculously in our new mics, because we just really like how they sound.
But also all the messages we get, we try to respond to them. Respond to them. You were right the first time. And if we are not, then we do. So please be patient. Other than that, please consider subscribing to the podcast.
Don't just consider it.
Just subscribe.
Just do it.
Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts.
You don't get spammed with emails or anything. Just,
and we hear you next week.
You hear us next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.